You're probably wondering why there hasn't been any casebook entries this week. And that's because there hasn't actually been any classes for me to do casebooks on. The reason for this was because it was math week. So that's what I did. Some of you happy little urchins might remember that last year I didn't attend math because I went home and watched the rugby instead, which at the time seemed like a good idea, but here we are. This year, however, I bought my ticket in advance, like the good little bean I am, and so I managed to attend most of the stuff that they had on. And now, let us go through what I learned. We start with the first Jim. This was Jim Parkin, and he works at Aardman, and I didn't manage to get him live, but I did manage to get him watch the thing back. And basically he made a Model B, which was the logo for math, and then he talked about stuff and answered questions, because they did Q&As throughout the week. And so some of the advice he gave was that third year final films, keep it simple, not too long. So that's good advice, I'll keep that in mind. And then he also said that start at small companies first and small roles like runners. Which is annoying because that's exactly what I do not want to do. Finally, he gave us a little backstory about how he became an animator, and he'd been a cheesemaker and he'd also been a blacksmith. So if I become those two things, then I shall become an animator. The person at my church actually knows Jim. I think it might be Jim, it might be Nick Park. There's a Jim Parkin and then there's a Nick Park, which is very confusing. And he knows one of them. So that's basically my claim to fame. Next is the second Jim. This was Jim Capobianco. Again, didn't get to see the live Q&A, but no worries, because all questions I could possibly have were actually answered. Jim he's a legend. He's been a storyboard artist on tons of Disney and Pixar films, so Lion King, he did the whole star scene with when Simba talks to Mufasa, but he's also worked on Bug's Life, Toy Story 2, Coco, Up, WALL-E, Finding Nemo, Inside Out, all these great little nuggets that make up Disney and Pixar. And he was talking about his new upcoming film, which is called The Inventor, which is an idea he's had for a while, and it was originally just a short film, which was 2D, and now it's becoming a proper stop-motion thing, so really excited for that. What I was especially excited for is the fact that it has possibly one of my favourite actor lineups I've ever seen. So you've got Stephen Fry, Daisy Ridley, and Matt Berry. Stephen Fry is going to be the voice of Leonardo da Vinci, because that's what it's about. It's about Leonardo da Vinci and how he made all these things, and yeah, he was just full of wisdom as well, so that's good. So with any project, start with what you know, so even if you have like a small inkling of an idea, write it down, flesh it out, and then go from there, and not just what you know about the scene, but what will happen later. And he was speaking in reference to his work with the Lion King, and how the star scene really, it wasn't like originally with Simba and Mufasa, when they talk at the start of the film, that was just like a bog standard scene, and then he pulled the callback in it, and like the stars are kings and souls and stuff like that, and he made that happen, which is really cool. So you can create links further on in a film or an episode or whatever you're doing. And what else? He also said trust the process a lot. I wasn't really paying attention that much, which in fairness, Jim's an awesome guy, but he has the voice like Professor Binns from Harry Potter. Like, he genuinely sounded like the most boring person ever, just going, yeah, it was really great work in all these films. I just thought, being a little bit more enthusiastic. I think he laughed once in like 2 Q&A sessions, because I saw 2 of them. I'm just like, laugh, please, please, at some point, just show a little life. But anyway, He also said half a day's good work is better than a whole day's no work. So, basically he's saying there is just, do things, even if it's small. And also tell a story your way. That was his biggest piece of advice, to tell a story your way. It doesn't matter if it's been done before, but as long as you're doing something different and you're telling it the way you want to, it's all good. I have just realised that clip alone was 3 minutes, so this is going to be a long video. Next, we hop across the pond to Ireland, because the two Irish legends were promoting their new film, which was actually on MAF, so I got to watch it, called Wolfwalkers, and it's got Sean Bean in it, which is amazing. And it's about this girl who comes over with her father, Sean Bean, from England to Ireland to hunt wolves, and then finds out that there are such things as wolfwalkers, who are magic people who can command wolves, and they can turn into wolves, and it's really cool. They were just there promoting their movie. I asked a lot of questions. Some of them were silly, some of them were actually serious, and none of them were answered. So, yeah. And then I watched the film after that, which was a mistake, because everyone was going awoo, and I didn't know what that was a reference to, or whether they just lost their minds, and it was actually a reference to the film, because that is like a constant theme, like all the wolves howling. But yeah, it was a beautiful film. I absolutely loved it. The story was good, but the animation was even better. And just little things like how the city and the forest contrast each other, and the detail. My God, it was so detailed. So yeah, and that was awesome. That was Cartoon Saloon, by the way. Just want to mention that. And it's also coming out on Apple TV, so watch it. The final part of I'm Thinking this very long video is going to be talking about, we had Q&A chat sessions with members of different companies. So I got to talk to members from Brown Bag and also Blue Zoo. Blue Zoo were a little less helpful than Brown Bag, and I also felt like Brown Bag came off a lot more friendlier. And I know that because right before the end I asked who would win in a fight between Batman and Superman, and they generally started a big debate as to who would win, going through all the different versions. Unfortunately I didn't manage to answer that because they ended, but still. And I also was like one of the few people actually on the chat. I think there was like one or two other people, but yeah, so I obviously, if I had a question, they would be easily able to answer it. But anyway, the advice they gave was that they did have internships in Dublin, and they did have a place in Manchester, but they do internships in Dublin. And CV and cover letter, less is more, no clutter, and just, make it look good. And new employees start on retakes, so improving existing animations. Yeah. As opposed to going into runners, stuff like that, as Jim Parkin was saying, which was it was helpful because it meant that gave me a little bit of hope. Like, I'm not gonna start off in this small job and then have to work my way up. It is genuinely straight in with animation, seeing what you can do. The only problem was that I'm useless as 2D, as we have already demonstrated. So yeah. But anyway, it was good to hear from them, and a useful experience. Well then, much as I like rugby, it probably would have been so much better if I had gone to the MAF last year, especially since last year you could submit work and show off stuff and walk around with like a tablet and say, hey, this is what I've done. Pretty cool, am I right? Yeah, I think, I'm not sure if there was actually a place where you could submit stuff on the website. I found it difficult to navigate it, but yeah, it was still a great experience. I absolutely loved every second of it. It was just really useful, and all the talks, all the people that were talking were just so interesting in the lives they have led. Some, like Jim Capabianco, was, not great to listen to, and there were times where I was a little bored, but there were hour-long lectures, and it's them recording it live, so it's not going to be perfect perfectly edited. But anyway, the point is, it was a really good experience, and I can't wait for next year, and hopefully I'll actually be able to attend that one in person, because fingers crossed we won't be in COVID then. In terms of videos, I know we have to reach like a minimum for the casebooks, and so I'm not entirely sure how that's going to work as of yet, with what we've like this week being basically cut out. But I'll probably do a review session, and hopefully that will bring it up. So this week won't count at all, because I basically have done nothing except math. I've found out a few ideas for performance and character, and I've updated the casebook a few times, but besides that, that is really it. So nothing really noteworthy to report, hence there haven't been any casebook entries. But next week, so actually today's Sunday, so basically tomorrow, there will be more stuff to talk about. So next week, from then on, it'll be back to normal. Thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you all later. Bye!